Can you hear me? Oh, look at that, yeah. I suppose the legend status, let's drop that because he's sitting there. He promises he's going to heckle, which would be great. So I'm going to go through some bits that some people may already know. Some people will go, really? And then it might seem like it's a bit negative. Please don't. At the end, it gets positive. You'll understand as we go along. So obviously, I make these new monitors. There's going to be a little bit at the back about it. If there's time, I will do questions, but people know that I waffle. So if I'm waffling like I am now, tell me. Right. So thanks to RJ's company, I hide this. So I made him look a bit better looking than me and gave him a beard for some reason. So this was me during my original Amiga career. What have I got to do? So why was I thinking that? I believe I've got a disease, okay? And I think an awful lot of people, especially developers, because we always forget the people at home that develop great products and then hope to sell it or give it away or whatever they want to do. And we all want this next one. I believed I could save the Amiga. I was naive. I was young. I honestly thought I could. Now, I'm going to show you some bits why I think and bits that some people may know. I love the German. This is going to sound like sucking up, but I mean it. This product. Germans bought this. In fact, one of the few countries that bought this product was Germany. In my home country, I think we sold about 6. Anyway, so what I'm going to, because I'll waffle, I'll go on. Just as a plug for David's book, my story is in this book. So if you're interested, you want to read a bit more about it, or you got the book, have a look, and it explains it. So just go for that. Also, I suppose one thing I was going to do was put a timer. So if I do waffle, just have a quick look at the time. I don't want to overrun. If there's questions at the end, let me know, because I'll have a little bit at the end. So yeah, my story with AROS. How many people here know what AROS is? Can you put your hand up, please? Okay, yes, not bad. That's good. How many people use AROS? Good, well done, RJ. Yeah. Right, so my story. There you go. So, some of you may remember this product. I was starting my Amiga businesses in about 88. Now, unfortunately, Fuzzy's not here because he would correct me, so no, it's 89. It's around 8, so my times might be out. Some of you may remember this product. What we tried to do was sell Amigas to industry, to musicians, to all these different markets that they weren't, Commodore, I'm going to moan about Commodore quite a bit, that Commodore were not really addressing. And also that the 500 was a fantastic little machine, but the 2000 was very expensive, great machine, but it was very expensive. So we built this. I didn't design this, I manufactured it on license. And you put a 500 motherboard in here, you could put an accelerator card, flicker fixer, hard drive, and you had a Zorro slot. And you could build a nice system for a price between the 500 and the 2000. And also, you could rack mount it. So it was aimed at industries where I've got stories I won't talk about here, but whenever we kind of went in with like a 500, they would say, we're not buying that, it's a games machine. And it was a nightmare. Now, I'm not a gamer. Anyone who sees me knows I'm not a gamer. My little boy is, and both my oldest son is as well. But I'm more about applications and developing. I like making things. So this was a fantastic product. The only problem was Commodore didn't like the idea of this. Now, I know this only happened in the UK, but I got called to a meeting at Commodore in Maidenhead, and I turned up. I bought a new suit because we thought it was going to be like we can work together and we can do promotions and stuff like that. And James lent me his black Porsche Turbo, so great. Driving up there, turned up, walked in, and the first thing, I won't swear, but the first thing I sat down, the pleasantries, got them out of the way, and then they mentioned this and said, we can't have you selling this. I'll do the clean version. We're going to kill you off. Okay, and that was it. That was basically the end of the meeting. So I've seen, okay. Went home. That's when they launched the Commodore 1500. Yeah? Now, if you didn't know, the massive difference between it is they took bits out and they got this really tacky sticker and they put it on the front, which you could peel off or leave it. It's up to you. Go and peel them off. But the most important thing they did, they slashed the price. But only in the UK. So they slashed the price, they dropped it to about £1,000 for the bare box. That killed us. Nothing else that did for that. So that's fine, that's business. I understand that, right? I didn't understand didn't want to talk to us, but there you go. Anyway, so that product, the irony was, they said to us, after they said, well, how many of you sold of these things? Thinking we sold thousands. 350. He said, really? Didn't think to ask questions first. So anyway, so that was a nice little product, and everyone knows my product's really strong. So we actually drove a car over it to show how strong it was. Now with my other cases, I stand on them, and so to show them how strong they are, I don't drive a car over it, but we literally drove a car over that one. So after that, what we did, and I don't know if we were the first, because I know what Germans are like. They probably did this maybe before us. But we developed this board, and it was going in a high-Q tower, and it had the Zorro slots, it had ISA slots, it had a proper video slot, and it had a CPU slot. And I took this to New York because people here know Innovatronics? Can do? Okay, right. So Innovatronics were going to be the distributor of this product, and Tim Jennison was really pleased because then he could get a lower cost or a better supply of machines for toasters. Unfortunately, they went bust. So that project sadly died a death. Anyway, that's when I met this guy who you should recognize, hopefully, Paul Nolan. He developed Photogenics, which is an absolutely amazing product. I had this concept that I wanted to do called the Siamese system. Now, the Siamese system name is a terrible name now, but this was a long way back, so forgive me on the name. But I needed to, let me show you. Right, so this is the Siamese system. Now, someone's just bought one of these. Okay, so this was the product. You got your Amiga, and you plugged it into a PC. Now, my thinking was at the time, this is not hindsight, but people might say it's hindsight. I knew everything was going to go Intel, and everything was going to go micro. When Windows 95 came out, that was game over. I knew that it was going to take over. So I wanted to get our systems on to at least get there, so that over time, we can maybe port to have a faster CPU. That was my plan there. So I developed this product. I didn't do the software, but we did the hardware. And it was basically, let's show this picture first. So you can see it was basically a switcher you put in the PC. You connected the video from the PC or the Amiga into it. And then on software that Paul wrote, it would switch, with the Amiga M, it would switch between Windows and the Amiga, backwards and forwards. But it also, when you connected it with a parallel or an Ethernet, it would share all the PC drives with the Amiga. You could use all the devices. And let's get to the next slide. Now, this is when it got really interesting. And so a lot of people, I think, know this. This thing. So this was Siamese RTG. And so what it was remote desktop or terminal services a long time before Microsoft made it. Now, I'm not sure about if VMware was out before, but I think it was the first. Now, this is the first fatal flaw here, which I'll tell. As you can see, every single screen appeared in a window on Windows. So we got all the acceleration from the Windows machine, powering the Amiga, we also hooked in the AHI into the sound card on the PC. And we used the PC as sometimes like a dumb slave, but you could do both. Now, I don't show on there the Macs. I'll come to the Mac, but one of the Windows could have been the Mac emulators. That was another thing we did on it, accelerated it. This was an amazing product. Even over serial, it was as fast as most of your cards, like on a Zorro 2. Unless you're sending data, a picture, that would take a bit longer. As soon as we went to Ethernet, this thing absolutely flew. So this could have, we didn't really have it. We did have the internet because I was advertising, but we didn't really have that interconnection then. But this is, now my mistake that I made, which I didn't think of, was what I should have done is, as well as this, is done it the other way around. So because we could have made the first remote desktop client. All I was thinking about was Amiga. This is the one thing that, even though I didn't write the software, Paul's an absolute genius, and I believe he still works at Google. I'm really proud. Now, sadly, after this thing fell up in a minute, we don't talk anymore, which is quite a shame, because he moved out. So that's the product that I think was very important for this reason. I met this guy. I don't know if it's me, but this is Mick Tinker from England. He ran a company called Index Information, and he developed custom Amigas to go into point of sale. And we met in, I think it was Cologne, I won't say a date, mid-90s, something like that. And he opened the bag up, and he said, look what I've got. And as soon as I spotted the 6840, get it out quick, because I saw the PCI slot, a 6840, custom chips. So, between us, the plan was to build this. Now, nowadays, you don't need to. You can virtual machine all this stuff. But back then, you had to do it with hardware. So we would have a machine with Windows, Mac OS, which obviously runs better on an Amiga, and the Amiga, all coexisting. And I had this running on Siamese. We had this all working. So it was only a case of integrating the software. Then this happened. Gateway bought out. We got tickets sent to us. We flew to South Dakota. They took us to a bar with young ladies in it. I'm not sure why you do that to the first business meeting, but we went to Gateway and we had discussions because what they wanted to do was they wanted to ship a Windows, their high-end Windows that's compatible with Mac OS at the same time. And the way you do it is you do it with Amiga software. And in my mind, because I wasn't completely stupid, I saw the Amiga being a Trojan horse. So we come to the, I'm not a legal expert. So we had a letter of intent and a $50,000 check, which we split between the two companies and shared out. Now, I thought a letter of intent was more or less a contract, but I've since learned it's not. Anyway, we went off and started to develop it. Now, unfortunately, the sad thing is Mick never delivered the board to us. We had the software, he was waiting for it, but, you know, there's reasons and reasons. And it turned out that he didn't think my company was big enough to handle this. I don't know. But anyway, so at a certain point, they pulled the plug. That was it, killed that project. And basically, at that point, I'm not going to go into that. But let's just say I'm now remarried, all right, which I'll come to. So back to this guy. Yes, it was not a good few years. Mainly because because I thought the letter of intent was a contract. I believed it was serious. We even celebrated. We were going to finally done it, and we all went out. Anyway. So a few years passed. Now, remember I said about I wanted to port Amiga to x86? Now, this is a newer version. I come back, and it's AROS. And I saw this thing with AROS, and it's a complete open source redevelopment, compatible Amiga OS 3.1 on x86 and ARM and PowerPC, etc., etc. Right? That's an interesting point. That's the main point. So, I want to be a YouTube star. Good luck. So I started making a few little videos of AROS. So I've got a whole load of AROS videos going right from the beginning all the way down. And I funded the high definition audio system. I funded GMA graphics drivers. I funded a few bits and pieces, partly so that we could build hardware around that, and partly so the community can get it. Thanks to Michael Schulz, who is here, absolute legend. Not everyone knows him, but you really should, because he's up there with the gods. Another guy who gets no mention, I can't pronounce his name. His handle is Deadwood. Anyone who knows AROS will know who Deadwood is. But Christoph, I'm not going to pronounce his surname, I'll get it wrong. And a load of others who do tons of work on AROS to make it what it is. And what it is basically is Intel-based with OpenGL, really powerful 3D engine, the beginnings of multi-core support. It's got everything in it. It's just absolutely, and you can go in and play with it, do what you like, etc., etc. So I think AROS is the business. Anyway, so I did them over a few years. Then I met, sorry, one. Had motion. Then I met this lady. Changed my life. So, and, oh, hang on, no, sorry. I hope they're ready for this. This little lad came along. Sound. No sound. Where's the sound? You need the sound for this. Because this lot will like this. We got sound? Oh, really? Okay, so basically what he's shouting out in his 2-year-old voice is, Amiga, yay! Where's the sound? Okay, it might be me. Okay, so come over and see me. It is, he's literally like that. He's, and I didn't train him honest. No. Yeah, I mean, I can hear it here. I can hear it here. That's a shame, because I thought everyone would love that. Oh, well, if we can get it, we'll play it back later on. Yeah, I've got the sound on. It's coming out here. Look. Yeah, no, yeah, okay. Maximum. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's a shame, because I thought everyone would like that. I'll tell you what, I'll come back to that, because it's worth it, because it is the cutest thing in the world. I'm not quite that cute. Right, so. That was going to be my main slide. Right, so he's obviously lovely. I've got 2 older kids as well, much older, and I'm a granddad. And, you know. So anyway, do you remember this thing? This was great, but as I said, I didn't design this, and I have to remember that this was a product of its time. So, you know, a number of years later, a couple of decades later on, things have changed. And I always wanted to design my own one. I wanted to make a case. Oh, hello. Should we try it? Is it? No. Don't worry. It's all right. Don't worry. So I always actually wanted to design my own case. But, you know, we all do. Now, I base it on my favorite computer in the world. And it was based on the 3000. The idea of this was, because everything's changed, I wanted to make it look better. Not the other one was ugly, but I wanted to make it look better. But of course, I wanted to be able to support I put an Amiga 500 in it, put a 1200, 600, Mini ITX, Micro ATX. All these machines you could put in there. We had graphics cards. I built a VR rig out of it. And it can handle most things. I also did a Mini, just to do a small one, but that was Mini ITX only. Now, I probably shouldn't put this word up here because I'm not allowed to use it. This logo, the idea of this was, I developed with a gentleman called Dimitri, who wrote Amy Berry. And we worked together to create this hybrid between Linux and Amiga. The idea was your emulator would run full screen. Linux would be underneath it. It was only an option. It wasn't like the final solution, anything like that. It was just so that it would be a good solution to use. And between us, we got the whole, well, he wrote it all. I always say we. Well, I don't write the software. I am a software developer, but I'm not an OS developer. And so basically, a load of little tools that I thought was really useful to make it work, cut and paste, all the kind of things I did with the Siamese. And so he went off and did that. Now, I never launched this because I couldn't get I couldn't license the name. I'll come to that later. I always wanted to do this as a product, but it had to move on. So if you want to see this, basically Jan from AmiKit, he took the baton up and actually really made it work brilliantly. So if you go to his stand for the Pi, it runs on that, and it really does run really well. In fact, one of the things that I really like as well is they've got this AI client, which does certain things quite nice. I've got a lot of ideas for that, which would be good. But yeah, so if you want to see more about that, it's AmiKit basically. So now, my aim has always been, I'm going to create an Amiga on my own desktop, monitor, keyboard and mouse. I haven't done the keyboard and mouse yet. But lots of people are doing the keyboard, so I probably won't. I might do the plastic frame to put them in to make it look nice. So I wanted to do a monitor. It had to be a good retro monitor. It had to take any signal in. Obviously, it had to work with Amiga. So we designed this. We did a Kickstarter. It was successful, and it's now been selling. I sold a couple of thousand, and we're looking next year to make some more. And before, people always ask me, does it come in black? Yes, it comes in black as well. I never show them. I never bring the black ones because you can't. When people take pictures, you can't see them because it's matte black. We make stands for it as well. So it was just an inexpensive stand, and it just made so you could put your. It was designed so the 500 and 1200 would sit under nicely, and you could get to the floppy disk. Just for fun. There's a little lip at the, I don't know if you can all see it. I made the inset bit too short. So when I put a 1084, it went donk in the first one. So, okay, we'll make that a bit longer, and that's fine. I stand on these, and if you don't believe me, if you come to my stand, you bring a camera, and I'll stand on both of them. They're great. They're a good little product, but they're just a size thing. Now, the monitor. Why do I think the monitor is special? Now, I do get an awful lot of grief from CRT fans thinking I'm trying to replace them. And especially if anyone does a review of the product, they get terrible comments, which is a bit of a shame. So there's a real strength of this monitor, apart from the fact the basic one, you can see it's got 6 HDMI ins, VGA in, a couple of AV channels, composite inputs. What you'll notice, if you look at the 2 HDMIs at the bottom, the left-hand one is an HDMI output. So whatever's on the screen, you can plug into a streaming device or record, etc., etc., no matter what you plug into it. So you can now if you can, I assume you can all see the slots. So the slots were the idea then were expansion. Now, the first expansion, firstly I want to talk about this lady. Now, I assume some of you know Appy. Okay. Now, I try to get emotional. Appy's had a very, very tough life. I put the first chapter of his story in my manual. There's a whole chapter on Appy when he was a man. And he called himself a functioning alcoholic. Now I know they're probably going to go, oh, I don't want an alcoholic to... No. This is an incredibly talented man who had lots of emotional problems. He didn't know why. He had no idea why. And he went through absolute torture. The Monitor project, I like to think, gave him something to aspire to. And also, he developed... This product would not be anything like it is. It was going to be a couple of boards... Oh, I'm running time. A couple of boards, etc., and with cables connected. He came up with the backplane. I like my boards black, and he said, no, don't do the black, we can't see it. No, tough, it's got to look good. So she transitioned. I didn't mention the fact he nearly died. Because of his alcoholism, his liver gave up. He was in hospital for a month. We thought we were going to lose him. Now, I know this sounds callous. This is not meant to be callous. He'd finished everything before. Okay? So once that he didn't have that stress of not finishing it. So sorry. I'm still struggling with this. Okay, forgive me if I... So she's come along. She's now transitioned. And over the last 2 or 3 months, it's changed. Happy. It lives up to her nickname. She's now reworking well. So wait for the stuff we're going to make soon. Anyway, so here's the scaler. So you plug that in. It gives you SCART, component, S-video. It gives you basically RF. It gives you every input you can think of. We have a Mr. fitting kit. So you can put a Mr. in. And we have a Pi fitting kit. I'm stepping through now a bit quicker because I can see the time. We also have this thing which I'm working on. I want to make, most of you, I may not know what Pandora is. Pandora is an arcade board with an ARM CPU. So you can turn it into an arcade machine. Hopefully going to do that. I'd like to sell it for like 100 quid. You know, nice cheap board. But this is my favorite. This is the, right, this is my favorite. So this is based on Minimig, redesigned by Appy. I call it is trademarked to Amiga because I can't use Amiga. And this is the one where that's basically an Amiga 500 Plus with ECS, some RAM. Unless you do that. And you put PyStorm on it. Yeah? Now, the reason you haven't seen much of this is because I've been waiting for Claude to do Frame Thrower. And I found out he's finished the ECS version. So they're going to have that on there. So this thing is going to be a beast. And we will brand the monitor Imica. Okay? So that's coming soon. Yeah, video capture. Remember there's you can output. Bag. That. Right, the future. I've got about a minute. Right, so my message here, one little message, right? Remember what I said about I believed I could save the Amiga? I think all these developers out there think they can individually save the Amiga. We can't. We have to work together. If everyone works together, share stuff, don't be precious about your bits. We have to get together and work together. Otherwise, we ain't going nowhere. Like we've not, although to be fair, the community has kept this thing alive and expanded and done more than anyone else ever could have. And we're not doing them justice. So, we all know I'm a big AWOS fan. So I'm going to make this little pledge. Anyone in the AWOS community that wants to work, I have got a little bit of money now, not a lot, I'm not rich, I have got a little bit of money. So if you want to develop things, I want to import. Also want to look at potentially risk 5 and decide what's going to be a good way to go and then improve everything. Just keep improving everything. And make AWOS hopefully what it should be. One more thing. I'd like to call... I've been talking to the powers that be for years about this. but I want AROS to be able to use Amiga research operating system. That's what I want. Now, as I said, I've been doing this privately. I'm sick of doing it privately. AROS deserves that name. It's not affecting anyone else. Anyway, while I'm waiting for all that, I'm going to go and play my motorbikes. All right, any questions? We ain't got much time. Thank you. Don't you get me going. Are they going to drag me off? Is there any questions? They haven't dragged me off yet. Are we good? Are we done? Keep going? Oh, okay. Right, so is there any questions? No one's going to be brave enough to... See, this is why I should have brought Fancy. He would have asked me a question. Why did you say that date? You know you're wrong. Right, if no one's going to ask a question, then I will call it a day. Okay. No. Anyone? Going once? Come on. You must have one, RJ. They're all too shy. No one here to tell me that's not an CRT? No? Okay. Oh, I just want to make one young lad, while I'm still on, one young lad. He was here yesterday. I don't know if he's here today. Lovely little lad. He came to the last show. And he came to my monitor and he said, I want you to know I can't buy your monitor. I said, what? Okay. He said, why? It's garbage. Okay. Why is it garbage? And then it was basically because it doesn't do, every time I forget this, the blanking fields. So it doesn't vertically blank after each frame like a CRT does. Yeah? And I didn't know quite what he meant at the time. And he said, because it'll be terrible when you've got a big game, you've got stuff going across. Well, show me. And so he showed me, and we got a demo. We had to go for loads of games. But it was one with a great big block. And he said, as it was going across, you could actually see little twinkling as it was going across because it wasn't blanking between things. Anyway, so I put that story in the manual. He came yesterday, and I showed him I gave him the manual. I said, look, there you go. And I was, but he had a good point. People think that this monitor is the end of it. It's not. I tried to get OLEDs, which everyone knows would be fantastic. Here's the issue. They were $500 each, and I had to order 25,000. Yeah? And also people say, there's always better panels. Yeah, sure. And I always say to people, right, go to panellook.org, have a look on there, and as long as they're in manufacturing still, and they've got thousands available in the world, we'll have a look at it. But I've tried 10, 15 panels, and this is the best one that I've found, and I'm always open to new ones. So, so it's always a point of you have to make decisions. But yeah, so the CRT crowd don't like me, but I'll get over it. Anyway, thanks very much. I'm going to go now. Do you want the mic?